Welcome back to Original Greatness. I am your host, Joseph Martin, and if you are new to the channel, I appreciate you for tuning in. Well, guys, it's another week, and we are here and we are ready to go. And at the beginning of the show, we always do our updates. So, first, I would like to thank all the new subscribers. We got over 100 subscribers this week. I believe last week we had like 200 and something subscribers. We almost at 400. I believe it was more than 100, like a nice amount. I don't have a specific number. This week has been crazy. I just want you guys to know every week is crazy. Every week. And last week I also talked to you guys about doing a study group live. Unfortunately, I was not able to get that in this week. As always, something came up. Now, the majority of the subscribers on this channel are males. And as men, I want you guys to know something. Yes, we have emotions, but our feelings don't matter. Because at the end of the day, when we get done being upset or whatever we feeling or whatever we got going on, there's still stuff that we have to do. And if it wasn't for the fact that I put myself in a situation or in a position where I could work for myself, I don't know what my family would do. Because every time I turn around, they need me to take care of something. It's just one thing after another. And thank God I have a family, no doubt. And I love them, I appreciate them. But I don't know what I would do if I had a 9 to 5. Because apparently I'm Superman. And if it wasn't for these YouTube shorts saving my life out here, being able to put these shorts out, I don't even know if I would be able to put out content. So that's been very consistent this week. But behind the scenes, guys, I'm telling you, some of those shorts I got up like a few minutes before 6 o'clock hit. But every day, Eastern Standard Time, we're putting up shorts. So we putting out consistent content. The views are going up, subscribers going up. So I wanted to say thank you guys so much. I appreciate you for that. And is that the updates that I wanted to do this week? Okay. So my wife is going to be off from work for about 3 weeks. So that's going to free up a lot of my time. So I got a lot of great things I'm going to be working on. We're going to put out some more long format content because the only long format content you guys been getting so far has been the live streams. And we have been able to put it in 4K. So I'm really excited and happy about that because it looks so much better than the streams. Like the streams is cool, but the quality of the 4K is unmatched. Unmatched. And one of the books that we talked about last week, I purchased it. Got this off of eBay, I believe. So the Story of Philosophy by Will Durant. I actually ordered 2 books. I think the other one was about history that he mentioned last week, but it hasn't arrived yet. But with no further ado, let's just go ahead and get into this reaction. If you haven't noticed, I'm sipping my tea because I'm not really feeling good. Like I said, we got to do what we got to do. Make sure you got your pen, got your pad, however you're going to take notes, because that's what we do here. So we can make sure that we're absorbing this content and this information so we can make an improvement in our lives with the self-development, personal development, self-improvement, and all of that stuff. We need to make sure that we on the right track by keeping our notes. So let's get started. Let's get Mr. Jim Rohn going. And this still look crazy. This still he look a little something. He look crazy in that picture. Let's get him rolling. Wait a minute. We don't have no audio. There we go. Still no audio. Wait a minute. We got something going on, guys. I don't see any audio. We're not getting no audio from this video. That's not good. Desktop audio. No, that's not. That's not. Oh, no. Wait a minute, guys. Bear with me. Bear with me. This is all bad. This is all bad. Guys, we might need to restart this stream because I do not want you guys sitting here while I'm trying to figure this out. I apologize. I really do. Because I don't know what's going on with this audio. Let's try this. Okay, that sounds like we good. We good. I think we good.
Then we got the warnings, right? Don't do what these people did. They messed up their life and threw their life away. Vitally important, both sides of the scenario. Now, if your life story ever gets in one of those books, make sure they use it as an example, not a warning. Also, we need balance, both sides, balance, good and evil, biographies, autobiographies. You need a book on Gandhi. You need a book on Hitler.
Yep.
One to illustrate how high a human being can go, and the other one to illustrate what? How low and despicable a human being can become. We need both sides of the scenario. Next, accounting. Got to have a little, at least primary view of accounting. Kids have got to start learning the difference between a debit and a credit. Next is law. We all need, right, a little bit. You don't have to be a lawyer, but you got to know contracts, what to sign, what not to sign, backups, good advice, how to be safe rather than sorry. All of us need a little law, not a lawyer, but a little law, especially these complicated days. Everything's in court these days. I learned this the hard way. Company wanted to borrow money a long time ago, up in Canada. Company wanted to borrow some money. The bank said, well, yes, we will loan the company the money if Mr. Rohn will sign personally. And I wanted to play hero, and I knew the company could pay it back. $250,000. So I signed. No problem. Sure enough, within less than a year, they paid it all back. $250,000. I am now a hero. Well,
all right, guys, listen. Here's the thing with co-signing for people, if you don't know what that is. He's talking about credit. Co-signing is where if the person that's applying for the loan seem like they may not be good for it, you get a co-signer. When you get the co-signer is agreeing to take on that debt responsibility if the original borrower does not pay it. I found this out when I was trying to establish credit and I didn't have any credit to start with, to build when I first started trying to get my credit together. Now, in that process, it was like a catch-22 because the only way for you to get approved for credit was to have credit. And when I found out what a cosigner was, I said I wouldn't co-sign for me either. Not because I wouldn't pay it back, but because of the magnitude of the responsibility that you would have to pay it if they don't. So let's get back to what happened to him.
Well, about a year later, this company gets in financial trouble. They go back to the bank and borrow this $250,000 again. I said, I hope my phone doesn't ring because I won't sign the note this time. Because I knew they were in trouble. I knew they were probably going to go bankrupt. My phone never rang. I'm off the hook. Sure enough, within less than a year, the company goes bankrupt. Can't pay. But I get this letter from the bank saying, Dear Mr. Rohn, since the company cannot perform its obligation and pay this $250,000, and since we have here your personal guarantee, would you please send us your check for $250,000? I said, hey, hold it. There must be some mistake here. I signed that first note, and they paid it all back. I wouldn't have signed the second note. I didn't sign the second note. Well, what I didn't know I had originally signed was a continuing guarantee.
Guarantee, a continuing.
So now I know what the word continuing means. I'm asking you to study a little law.
So then in the original co-signing agreement, he signed it in a way where every time they applied for a loan, he was the automatic co-signer because of the way he signed it the first time. So you guys have to read. You have to read the stuff you sign. And we have a habit of just glancing over things and stuff like that. But once you sign something, you through. So you better make sure that you're reading it before you sign it. So he's sharing with you what happened to him so you can understand the severity. That ended up costing him millions of dollars. He was on the hook for all that money because this company borrowed money and didn't pay it back. So make sure you're reading things before you sign it and study a little law. Like he said, you don't have to become a lawyer, but you need to know enough law to know what you should do and shouldn't do before it gets to the level of where you need an attorney.
Know what to sign, know how to defend yourself, right? Say, hey, we'll get back, don't sign too quickly. I mean, there's all kinds of things here. Be a student. Don't be lazy in learning. How to defend as well as nourish. How to grow as well as take care of your enemies. You got to learn. Let your library indicate that you're a serious student about personal relationships with your family, gifts and skills, economics, and all the rest. Here's the next one. Economics. We're going to study that when we come back from our break. Economics. We're going to cover, especially for the kids today, how to become financially independent. We're going to let the adults listen. I've been teaching kids for the last 18, 19 years. How to be rich by 40, 35 if you're extra bright. Most kids think they're extra bright. They go for 35. Or much sooner if you find a unique opportunity. We're going to get into that.
Absolutely.
Be a student of economics. Next, culture, sophistication.
Culture. Make sure you
don't leave that out of your life. Culture, sophistication. Culture is part of the fabric of the nation. Culture is what makes us different than dogs and animals. Culture is what makes us different from the barbarians. Culture, sophistication. Be a student of the dance and the art and the music and all the rest of those extraordinary human values that are possible for us all to participate in as well as to enjoy. Be a student of culture.
Culture is important because it helps you navigate through society and manage your relationships with people accordingly. Depending on where you go and where you're at, things change based on the environment. So understanding your environment and how things operate, that's culture. Knowing how to handle yourself and carry yourself in the marketplace, in your neighborhood, in your marriage. In certain places, there's different rules, there's different principles that you abide by in certain situations. So understanding culture helps you understand the importance of knowing those things. That's what I got from it when he mentioned, make sure you study culture.
And the last one is spirituality. Study it from the Bible and all the related books about spirituality. If you're a believer, study and practice. Let your library show you're a serious student. Next, keep a journal. Show said, Mr. Rohn, not only be a student, but the good ideas that you develop from the books. Keep a separate journal. Write all this stuff down. Here's what he said. Don't trust your memory.
Man, he ain't never lied about that.
If you're serious about becoming wealthy and powerful and sophisticated and healthy, influential, cultured, unique, keep a journal. Don't trust your memory. If you listen to something valuable, write it down. If you come across something important, write it down. Write it down. Now,
I have two things that I use now. I've been studying systems. So systems is things that businesses put in place to make sure that they keep things on track. So when it comes to organization, you knowing where something is, it doesn't have to be exact. Like you knowing an area. So I have a tool area in my basement. So I don't need to know exactly where my drill is. I just need to know the area. So there's different systems you can put in place where you're not overloading your memory or overloading your mind when it comes to you keeping notes. So I did buy a physical book to keep notes in. But the problem is when you buy a physical book and instead of using an electronic device, it's harder to search that information. So if you use a electronic device, you could put in a keyword or phrases and it'll search whatever you wrote to find what you had put in your notes. So I prefer taking electronic notes than just writing it down. I don't keep a journal, but I do keep a planner. But when it comes to ideas have so much potential and power in them that you do not want to forget them. Once you understand that businesses, economics, money, income have a lot to do with starting with great ideas, you do not want to lose them. So you want to put them in some type of device and where you can get to them very easy and keep notes around that idea so you can turn it into potential income or helping somebody else. So you want to make sure that you create a situation or a system where you can keep your information so you can access it. Don't leave it up here. You mess around and you forget. Look at it like you losing money if you do that.
Now, I used to take notes on pieces of paper and torn off corners and backs of old envelopes and restaurant placemats and long sheets and narrow sheets and little sheets and pieces and thrown in a drawer. Found out, best way, keep a journal. I've been keeping these journals now since age 25. It makes up a valuable part of my own learning, and it's a valuable part of my library. My own journals now form a good portion of my own library. The stuff. I'm trying to get kids to do like I do, be a buyer of empty books. Kids find it interesting I'd buy an empty book. Especially at my status in life. What did I pay for this one? $26.
And that was a lot of
Kids
money
say,
back
$26
then.
for
like
an empty
early
book.
90s or late 80s.
Why would you do that? Well, the reason I paid $26 is to press me, to see if I can't find something worth $26 to put in here. And I'm telling you, all my journals are private. But if you got a hold of one of my journals, you wouldn't have to look very far until you would say, this is worth more than $26.
Priceless. Priceless.
I must admit, if you got a glimpse of Mr. Rohn's journals, you'd have to say he is a serious student. Not just committed to his craft, but committed to life, committed to skills, committed to learning, to see what I can do with seed and soil and sunshine and rain and miracle and possibilities and turn it into equities of life and treasure, family relationships, enterprise, sales, management, gifts galore, everything you want, all available, especially in America. I'm asking you, keep a journal. I call it one of the three treasures to leave behind. Let me give you that. One of the three treasures to leave behind. Number one is your pictures. Take a lot of pictures. Did you ever look back, right?
Take
2 or 3
pictures.
Generations, just a handful of photographs way back there. Wouldn't it be something if there was album after album, thousands of pictures to help tell the story? A picture's worth 1,000 words. Don't be lazy.
Now, the great thing about taking pictures and video is that in his time, they didn't have social media like we do now. So it's easy for us. We walking around with a camera at all times. You know how hard it was to make sure you were keeping track of taking pictures and shooting video in the 80s and in the 90s, the Polaroid cameras and all that crap and flashes and film and all that other stuff, and going to the drugstore to get your film developed. Now we got all different types of devices right in our pocket where we can take pictures all the time. And with us being able to do that, we're creating these memories and history for generations to come to be able to be a part of our experiences. And that could be a way to add more detail to your journal and the other information that you keep in track of. So we are blessed to be in a situation like that, because when he was giving that information, then that was way more work than we have to go through now to make sure that we're taking pictures and video.
In capturing the event, how long does it take to capture the event? A fraction of a second. How long does it take to miss the event? A fraction of a second. Errors in judgment or disciplines. Take lots of pictures. Help tell the story. Click, click, got it.
Got it.
Click, click,
click,
got it.
got it.
Key. I go to Taiwan to lecture. Taipei, Taiwan. Grand Hotel. Neat place to do a weekend seminar. I got 1,000 students. Guess how many cameras?
1,000.
1,000 cameras. They all bring their cameras. They wouldn't miss the event, take pictures. Takes me more time to take pictures than it does to do the lectures. Here's my new American friend. Here's my new American friend. Click, click, save it. Got it. 1,000 words, each one. What a scenario. Don't miss the pictures. When you're gone, one of the things to leave behind, the treasure in picture as well as in words.
Absolutely.
Key. Next, your library.
Man.
The library that you gathered, that taught you, that instructed you, that helped you to defend your ideals, that helped you to develop a philosophy, that helped you to become wealthy and powerful and healthy and sophisticated and unique.
Look at his handwriting. He probably the only person that can read some of that stuff, man. I look like chicken scratch. When it comes to your library, it shows a lot about your personality, the things that you've learned, the things that have helped you grow as an individual, as a husband, as a brother, as a son, as a business owner, as an investor. It's like a secret blueprint that led you to the results that you got. So like, people can admire you for things you achieved in your life, but if they don't know how you worked on yourself and how you acquired the knowledge that you were able to gather from those books, from school, from seminars, from experiences. So the things that you didn't get out of books, the things that were your thoughts and experiences, that's where the journal comes in. So the people behind you, your sons, your daughters, your great-granddaughters, your great-grandsons, they won't be starting over from scratch when it comes to wisdom, knowledge, and information, because you'll be handing that down to them through your library and through your journals. You could be long gone, like what I'm doing now with the YouTube videos and this content. My lineage will be able to look back on things that I've done and still be able to take advantage of what I know through the things I do here. So make sure you're documenting your things and you leave your library and your information behind in some type of way. You don't want it to leave with you.
The library that helped you conquer some disease, the library that helped you to conquer poverty, the library that caused you to walk away from the ghetto, the library, the books that instructed you, fed your mind and fed your soul. Leave your library behind. One of the greatest gifts you can leave behind is your library. Stepping stones out of the darkness into the light, your library. So leave your books behind. Your books will be more valuable than your couch. Your books, your books, your books. And third is your journals. The ideas that you picked up. The notes you took at seminars like this. Wherever you found an occasion to gather something valuable and put it in here so you could go back over it and go back over it. Repetition is the mother of skill. Read it one more time. Learn it one more time. See if you can digest it one more time. Let it coach you one more time. Let it teach you one more time. Let it inspire you one more time. Words are inspirational.
Absolutely.
The lyrics of a song. And not just read it once. That's why we put our stuff on cassettes so you can go through it again and again and again. If you hear a beautiful song that does something to you, you don't say, well, that's enough. Don't need to hear that again. No. Wouldn't you want to hear it again, hear it again, hear it again? Let it instruct you. Let it feed you. Let it teach you. Take you on wings of emotional journeys. Wouldn't you want to do that again? The answer is yes. That's what's so important. And here's what's important.
Now, this is what I learned about reading books more than once. The book doesn't change, you do. We grow, we evolve. Our level of understanding when we read a book the first time is different when we return. It's different when we return to that book. So you can get more out of something by reading it over and over and over again, especially if it's a great book. Like the Bible. Think about how many times people have read the Bible and how many years of evolution and lessons have been taught out of the same book, because it's different things you can get out of it based off of your life experiences to be able to relate to the different events and different lessons that's inside that book. But that's just one example. But the Bible is a great example to explain what I'm talking about, because of how many years these pastors and people have taught and gathered ideas out of the exact same book. You would think they would be exhausted of doing this by now, but the Bible isn't changing. People are just pulling their own perspective and ideas and wisdom and knowledge out of it and help trying to share it with other people. And that's what you can get from a lot of different books and literature and journals and all of this great stuff.
One of the things to leave behind, that's your journals, all the stuff you took the meticulous time to gather. One of the greatest proofs that you're a serious student. Taking pictures, that's pretty easy. Buying a book at a bookstore, that's pretty easy. Here's one that's a little more challenging. Be student enough of your own life and your own future and your own destiny. Be student enough to take the time to keep the notes and keep the journal. You'll be so glad you did. What a treasure to leave behind when you go.
He's proud of his journal.
Your journals. Wow. I wouldn't be without mine now.
Absolutely.
I'm in Carmel, California, one of my favorite places. It's where I wrote my first book called Seasons of Life. I went to this little church one Sunday morning. First time I'd been there. Little small church, I don't know, 150 people. Classic sermon that morning. Classic sermon. One of the best I've ever heard in all of my life. I happened to be there. And I had my journal. While this sermon is going on, I can't believe it was so precise, it was so unique, it was so powerful. And I've got my journal, and I'm taking notes. Taking notes of this classic sermon.
Taking notes.
Guess how many other people were taking notes? Approximately, guess. How many do you suppose? It looked like, best as I could tell, I'm the only one taking notes of this classic sermon. Now, since I'm a stranger there, and it's the first time I've been there, and I'm taking these notes, People started looking, who is he and what's he doing? I started feeling just a little bit uncomfortable.
He's stealing.
I'm still writing. Now I'm feeling kind of like a spy. I could hear some of them say, he's going to get out of here with some of this stuff. And I did. I'm the guy that walked away with the stuff. I'm asking you to be no less sincere and be no less committed to the advancement of your philosophy, the set of the sail. Talk about have your best year ever this year, and then get ready for next year, your very best year ever, and they'll start being the best year after year. If you'll commit yourself to some of this simple stuff called personal development, start with a walk around the block. Start with the refinement of your philosophy. Start with the teaching of your own fabulous mind, where all the answers are. I can only give you a few answers from my own experience. The rest of all the magical answers are within the confines of your own mind, but it takes the books, it takes the cassettes, it takes the videos, personal conversation, sermons, lyrics from songs, dialogue from the movie.
Everywhere.
Let your heart be stirred by words. Find ways to capture. Part of your personal development quest. Now here's the last subject on personal development just before we take our break.
Okay.
Isn't this good stuff? I'm telling you, this stuff changed my life. Turned me every way but loose. I've never been the same since the teacher gave me some of this simple instruction. How to go from where you are to where you want to go. How to go from what you are to what you want to become. How to go from pennies to treasure. How to go from nothing to fortune. It's all within the confines of this stuff that I've been trying to share with you. Laboring best I can. Words are clumsy when you try to in your experience.
Oh, the video.
But I'm doing my best today, and I'm excited about it. Appreciate you taking all these good notes. Good students
I wish I
today.
was there when he
appreciate
did this seminar.
Develop these 5 abilities as part of your personal development quest. I call them the 5 abilities. Here's the first one. Develop the ability to absorb. The ability to soak it up like you're doing today. Be like a sponge. Don't miss anything. And not just the words. It's true, don't miss the words, but don't miss the atmosphere. Don't miss the color. Don't miss the scenario. Don't miss what's going on. Most people are just trying to get through the day. Here's what I want you to be committed to do. Learn to get from the day.
From the day.
Don't just get through it, get from it. Learn from it. Let the day teach you. Join the University of Life. What a difference that'll make in your future. Commit yourself to learning. Commit yourself to absorbing. Be like a sponge. Get it. Don't miss it. I've got a personal friend of mine who's so gifted in this area. I think he has soaked up and remembers everything that's ever happened to him. He can tell you as a teenager where he was and what he did and what he said and what she said and how they felt and the color of the sky and what was going on that day. And the reason is because he gets it. He gets it. He gets it.
Pay extra
I'm telling you, it's more exciting to have him go to Acapulco, come back and tell you about it than it is to go yourself. He's unbelievable. He's got this
You feel like you
extraordinary
went on
gift.
the trip, by the way he tell you the story.
And why is it? When he's there, he doesn't miss anything. Here's a good phrase for you to jot down. Wherever you are, be there. Be there.
Wherever you are, be there. Another thing about this, wherever you are, be there, is that some people don't realize that the experiences that they're having everywhere they go is because it's coming from them. So if you have a person that's positive all the time, they're having great experiences everywhere they go, they're attracting that type of energy when they go to those places. And the world is giving them back what they put out. And then you have other people, they're like, man, everywhere I go, the negative comes to them. It's just the energy that they putting out. It come right back to you. So you have to be careful about the things you say and the energy that you put out and the way you behave, because it come right back to you. Let's get back to the video.
to absorb it up. Be there to soak it up. Take a picture if you can, but take pictures of your mind. Let your soul and heart take pictures. Get it, capture it, absorb it. That's such an important ability to develop, the ability to get it, don't miss it. Don't be casual in getting it. Key phrase, casualness leads to casualties. Second, learn to respond. The ability to respond means let life touch you. Don't let it kill you, but let it touch you. Let sad things make you sad. Let happy things make you happy. I'm telling you, give in to the emotion. Let the emotion strike you, not just the words, not just the image. Let the feeling strike you. Let the emotion strike you. Here's what's important. Our emotions need to be as educated as our intellect. Our emotions need to be educated Absolutely. As well as our intellect. It's important to know how to feel. It's important to know how to respond. It's important to let life in, let it touch you.
There's a great book called Emotional Intelligence. Let me look that up. Emotional Intelligence. By Daniel Goleman. So that could help you out with what he's talking about.
I'm the greatest guy in the world to take to the movies. I get into a good movie. I want a good movie. Make me laugh, make me cry, scare me to death, teach me something. Take me high, take me low. Just don't leave me as I was when I came in. Touch me. Do something to me. Wow. I picked up the newspaper in Australia. The advertisement says, see Dr. Zhivago on the big screen. I said, my gosh, I gotta go see it on the big screen. I'd seen it, 2 or 3 times before, but the big screen, I love the old theaters, right? The balconies and the chandeliers and the draperies.
There's a book on that movie.
Stuff, the big screen.
It was a well-known novel.
So I go one more time, see Dr. Zhivago, and sure enough, I'm swept away one more time. Story of the Russian Revolution, Dr. Zhivago, and that whole scenario. I had always missed the importance of the ending of that movie until this time. The other times I missed it. I'm telling you, this time, I got it. Comrade General said, Tanya, how did you come to be lost? After he'd found her, right? Said, how did you come to be lost? And she said, well, I was just lost. He said, no, how did you come to be lost? She said, well, we were, the city was on fire when we were running to escape, and I was lost. He said, no, how did you come to be lost? And that's what she didn't want to say. He finally pressed her again. How did you come to be lost? And he said, well, she said, well, while we were running through the city and it was on fire, my father let go of my hand and I was lost. That's what she didn't want to say. Comrade General said, Tanya, that's what I've been trying to tell you. Komarovsky was not your real father. He was not. I'm telling you, I've been looking all over for you, and I think I found you. This man, my relative, Dr. Zhivago, the poet. I'm telling you, he was your father. This man. And Comrade General said, Tanya, I promise you this. If this man, your real father, had been there, I promise you, he would never have let go of your hand. And I got it. This time I got it. The other times I'm eating popcorn waiting for the movie to finish. This time I got it. I got it. I got it. I'm asking you to get it. Absorb and respond. Maybe you heard the story about the evangelist here in Texas way back in the horse and buggy days. Used to put up his tent in these various Texas towns and hold tent revivals.
You can learn a lot from movies. Movies have a lot of great lessons in them, and I'm going to be doing some reactions to some movies on this channel as well to give you a lot of lessons from them you probably overlooked or you haven't noticed. I did some of them with Coming to America. I'll put the link up on the screen when we put it in 4K or in the live stream when you watch this back for that short that I had did. But it's a lot of great lessons in movies that you might miss because it's a comedy or it was really simple or you just didn't catch it. But I'm gonna love to be doing some reactions to those so you can get some deep dive into those type of lessons.
And he put up his tent, one of these towns, expected a big crowd to come and hear him preach. And he got there first night of the tent revival, and he walked inside the tent. It was empty. And he thought, something must be wrong. He waited till 8 o'clock. Nobody showed up. He waited till 8:15. Not a soul. Finally, 8:30. One lone cowboy wandered up on his horse, tied his horse up outside, came in, sat down on the front bench, big empty tent. So the preacher thought, well, at least I better go down and talk to the cowboy. So he goes down and talks to the cowboy, and he says, Cowboy, I don't know what to tell you. He said, I'm the preacher. And this tent was supposed to be full of people. And he said, something's gone wrong. I really don't know what to do. I'm embarrassed. And he said, I don't know what to do. And the cowboy said, well, you know, I'm not a preacher. I'm just a cowboy, so I can't tell you what to do. But he said, I know this, if I went out to feed my cattle and only one showed up, I'd at least feed it. So the preacher said, hey, the cowboy is right. If you've got a message to share, if there's one person or 1,000, don't let your ego get in the way. You know, you should.
And that's a great, great lesson. All you need is one person to have an audience. And sometimes you can probably get a good lesson talking to yourself. So a good lesson is never wasted in sharing information and having a testimony. And in this situation with this story, it's funny because the cowboy is really simple and the guy that's supposed to be teaching somebody else is overthinking stuff. He think he need a room full of people in order for him to share an idea. Like, no, just share the idea.
Do the best you can. So he got kind of inspired by this conversation with the cowboy, jumped up on the platform, started preaching as if the tent was full of people. And he was so inspired, he just kept going, went for an hour and 15 minutes, hour and a half. Finally wound down and quit. Come down off the platform, talked to the cowboy again, said, well, cowboy, what did you think of my sermon? The cowboy said, well, I'm not a preacher, so I can't really tell. I'm just a cowboy. But he said, I know this, if I went out to feed my cattle and only one showed up, I'd feed it, but I wouldn't dump the whole load on it.
Gave it all the food.
If it seems like we're dumping the whole load here today, I guess we really are. But you guys are working hard. Does anybody have 4 pages of notes? Oh, wonderful, okay. Wonderful. My job, I'm getting it done. Wonderful. We should give a prize one of these days for the most notes. Fantastic. I congratulate you. You're working as hard as I am. I appreciate that.
Your notes. Make sure you got your notes. Let's go over. Let me show you my notes. I gotta pull it down. This is what I got. I'm still waiting on 3. He telling all these stories. I'm on the edge of my seat waiting on him to get to number 3. I hope I didn't miss it. Your notes. I got so many monitors. Let me see.
Okay, we got some more work to do, so let's go to work. Everybody's okay? Say, I'm okay.
I'm okay.
All right. I'd love to take you with me as my traveling audience. Wow. We've covered the first 2 abilities in the personal development quest.
3. Okay, we go.
1 is the ability to absorb. Don't miss anything. Pay attention. Good watchword for the 90s. Pay attention. Things are moving so fast these days, you got to pay attention, pick it up, soak up the colors, soak up the sounds, soak up what's going on. Second, respond. Let life touch you. Let the emotions affect you as well as the sights. Now here's the third ability. Develop the ability to reflect. Reflect means go back over. Study it again.
Revisit.
Go back over these notes that you're taking today.
Review.
Go back through the cassettes one more time. Read the text one more time.
When we were talking about reading a book more than once.
But there's more to it than that. Go back over your day. I call it run the tapes again. So that the day locks in firmly. Here's some good times to reflect. One, at the end of the day. Take a few minutes at the end of the day. Go back over the day. Who'd you see and what'd they say and what happened? How'd you feel? What went on? So that you capture that day. A day is a piece of the mosaic of your life. Number one, don't treat it casual. Number two, get from the day. And then number three, go back over the day so that it locks in that experience, the knowledge, the sights, the sounds, the panorama, the color, motion, picture of the day. Just lock it in so that it will serve you for the future, having that day, not missing it. Next, take a few hours at the end of the week, called time to reflect. Go back over your day timer, go back over your calendar, go back over your appointment book. Where did you go and who did you see and how did it feel and what went on? Capture that week. A week is a pretty good chunk of time.
Absolutely.
Next, take half a day at the end of the month, called time to reflect. And do the same thing again. Go back over what you read, go back over what you heard, go back over what you saw.
I'm looking so intrigued and gone if you're watching me instead of watching this video. Because I've listened and watched this seminar dozens of times, but this is something that I haven't been doing. I haven't really been reflecting and reviewing my day as much, my weeks. I've been aware enough to make sure that I'm being productive. Like, I hate feeling like a whole 24 hours has went past and I didn't do something that would make the next day easier. It's like building a wall and every day I'm laying bricks. We're not looking to remove any of those bricks. We're looking to build on those. We want to build something every day. What am I working towards building? Did I get closer to my goal? What is my goal? Did I move further away from my goal? What happened today? How much of this day went towards me being a better person or a bigger person tomorrow? Man, I definitely got to add this back to my arsenal.
Go back over the feelings to capture it so that it serves you. Next, take a weekend at the end of the year to establish this year now firmly in your consciousness, firmly in your experience bank, so that you've got it, so that it never disappears. Good ability to acquire, the ability to reflect. Go back over. Remember. 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 It's so valuable to be able to remember the thought, remember the idea, remember the experience, remember the occasion, remember the day, remember the weather, remember the emotion, remember the complexity, remember the highs, remember the lows. So valuable at the end of the day. Lock that day in. Lock the month in, lock the week in, lock the year in. Old Testament says a unique scenario unfolded according to the law, and that was they worked 9 years and the 10th year was a sabbatical. The 10th year Work 9, take the 10th year, and not just to relax, not just to replenish, not maybe just to get physically in shape. Change of pace, we call it in the modern society, but not just for that. I'm sure that in ancient days, that sabbatical was to go over the last 9 years.
Look at the notes. Look at the notes. Everybody in there getting it. Everybody. That's the type of room I want to be in. Everybody getting it. Everybody trying to get that information. They paid to be in there. We can see it on YouTube for free. They paid to get in there. They making sure they getting their money's worth. They making sure that they get that information so they can make their life better. Man, to think about all the countless opportunities we have in the times that we live in now, information is plentiful. It's abundant. It's just how much time are we willing to spend looking for it, getting it, and applying it. I can't wait to get back to being able to just sit down and read. Man, let's go.
Years, what went right and what went wrong, and what worked well and what didn't work well. And how did you grow, and how did you learn, and how did you change, and what have you got now after 9 years that you didn't have at the beginning of the 9 years? See, that's so valuable. A sabbatical, some time. There's also something to be said for solitude when you reflect. Yeah, sometimes you can reflect with somebody. Husband and wife reflect on the past year.
Learn a lot about yourself when you're
right?
alone.
Parents reflect with their children on the past year. How did we do it, and how didn't we do it, and how could we improve? Colleagues can reflect with each other. But now here's one of the most important. You got to learn to reflect with yourself.
Absolutely.
There's something to be said for solitude. There's something to be said for taking those occasions to shut out the world and shut out everything else for a while. I've got a motorhome. That's how I do it. With my motorcycle on the back. And I head for the mountains and ride the Jeep trails.
I do want to get my own.
Where there's very few human beings on the Jeep trails.
Here's a fun fact. Maya Angelou had an apartment that she used just to write in. The famous poet, Maya Angelou. You need places for you to be able to collect your thoughts without any interruptions. And when you got a family and you sharing living space, it's kind of hard to do, especially if you got kids. Like they say that men got man caves. No, I'm talking about even if you have to just go sit in your car, take time to go to a park, go somewhere where you can be by yourself, where you can just have thoughts without them being interrupted, to reflect on growth and productivity and ideas. For me, I know it's a breath of fresh air, especially out in nature. Like to go to a park, beautiful scenery, beautiful weather, and just sit there and taking in the sounds of peace. No interruptions, just you and your thoughts. I love it.
Or out in the desert somewhere. It's called my time to get away. When you live a very public life, you treasure solitude. A chance to reflect, go back over my life, go back over my skills, go back over my experiences. Alone. There are some things you need to do alone. Ponder, think, wonder, read, study, absorb, soak in. See if you can't become better this year than you were last year, better the next 9 than you were the first 9.
Yes.
Solitude.
Yes.
There's even a more modern advice that says, go to the closet for time of meditation, time of prayer. Go to the closet. Closet meaning what? Away. And there's even a graphic description of the away. It said, enter into your closet and what? Got some students here, I'm sure. What? Close the door. For what? Just to shut out everything. Life is experience, and touching and seeing and looking and doing and acting and disciplines and all the stuff. But sometimes, this is where this reflecting is so important, to shut the door. Just shut the door.
Just stop it.
And wonder. Prayer, contemplation, thinking, and let things move in to your consciousness and awareness that No other way can it be done. Right? Flying down the freeway, I'm telling you, it's difficult to get through. So many things to do, it's difficult to get through. But times of solitude, times to reflect. So this is so valuable, learn to reflect. Now here's why it's important to reflect. To make the past more valuable to serve you for the future. Here's what's really powerful, learning to gather up the past and invest it in the future. Gather up today and invest it in tomorrow. Gather up this week and invest it in the next week. Gather up this year and invest it in the next year. See, that's so powerful, rather than just hanging on one more year, hanging in there, seeing what's going to happen. Learn, study. This is part of the personal development quest, becoming better than you are, more valuable than you are, not just in terms of economics, in terms of motherhood, in terms of fatherhood, in terms of being a better brother, a better colleague, making a better contribution to the family, to society, to the community, to the church, to the office, to the commitment.
And that's what I was talking about when I was mentioning you leaving your library behind, you leaving your journals behind, you leaving information, wisdom, knowledge, and things you've gathered to the next generation. You leaving that behind. Remember the bricks I was talking about? Building a wall? They're not starting off building that wall with no bricks. Like, they start from scratch. When you leave that information, that knowledge, that wisdom behind, they can add to the wall you left behind. They can heighten the wall you left behind. So they're able to get further than you did because you left enough behind for them to pick up where you left off. That's very powerful.
To the partnership. Doesn't matter what it is that has value. Work on yourself, then you bring more value to the partnership, to the marriage, absolutely, to the franchise, to the corporation, to the enterprise, to the community, to the nation. Self-development, personal development. The best contribution you can make to someone else is self-development, not self-sacrifice. Self-sacrifice only earns contempt. Yes. Self-development earns respect. Pity the mother who says, I'm just going to give up my life for my children. Self-sacrifice is not noble. Self-investment is noble from self-development. If I work on myself and become more valuable, think of what that'll do for our friendship. I used to use the old expression, you take care of me and I'll take care of you. I found out how shallow and short-ended that was. And I changed it to read like this, I'll take care of me for you.
Now think about that. Don't let that go over your head. Don't just, I'm bald. Just don't let that go over your head. If you are a person that's always in trouble, you always need to borrow something, you always got something going on, that basically means you can't take care of yourself. And that puts a strain on your relationships, not just because of people having to be or in a position where you need them more often than not. It's not just that. When somebody loves and cares about you, even if they can't help you, they're worried about you. They're worried if you're going to be able to take care of your business, to take care of yourself, to handle your responsibilities. So when you show that you are incapable or unable to do those things, if you have habits that's to your detriment and things of that nature, being in a relationship with you, whether that's a brother, a sister, an auntie, a mother, a father, you're almost like a burden on this person's emotions because they care about you. Now, if you worked on yourself and you're responsible, you take care of everything you need to take care of, you're not needy, you're not calling people only when you need something, they can rest assured that you're okay because you've shown you're responsible. That makes the relationship they have with you pleasant. it makes it easy on them, knowing that you're self-sufficient. So that enhances relationships that you have with other people when you're able to take care of yourself. That's not selfish, which is something I've talked about before.
If you will please take care of you for me. And this is part of it, the personal development, that we work harder on ourselves than we do on our job. Now we bring that to the friendship. Now we bring that to the marriage. Now we bring that to the family relationship as a father, as a mother. And we develop the strength and we develop the power. That's key. And it takes, I think, this scenario of disciplines, these abilities, to acquire those gifts and those skills, that value, so that we bring more. Now, we bring more to the next week. We bring more to the next month. We bring more to the next year. If you follow this absorb, respond, and reflect. I said to my father, when he was about to turn 76, his 76th birthday, I said, "Dear father of mine, can you imagine what it's going to be like to gather up the last 75 years of your life and invest them in your 76th year?" What a difference of philosophy, rather than just hanging on one more year. Gather up 75 and invest them in the next one. Gather up the last 6 years and invest it in the next year. See, that's so powerful in communication, which we're going to study soon. So powerful. So consider this. 1, the ability to absorb. 2, the ability to respond. 3, the ability to reflect.
What's the next one?
Here's number 4, develop the ability to act.
Okay.
Take action. Not hasty if it isn't required, but don't lose much time. Here's the time to act. When the idea is hot and the emotion is strong. That's the time to act. You say, "Mr. Rohn, I'd like to have a library like yours." See, if you feel strong about that, what you got to do is get the first book and then get the second book.
If you really feel
before
that way,
the feeling passes and before the idea gets dim, action pronto, action immediate, action as soon as possible. Because if you don't, here's what happens. We call it the law of diminishing intent. We intend to when the idea strikes us. We intend to when the emotion is high. But now if you don't translate that into action fairly soon, now the intent starts to diminish. And a month from now it's cold. A year from now, can't be found. So act. Set up a discipline when the emotions are high and the idea is strong and clear and powerful.
Yes.
That's the time to set up the discipline. Somebody talks about good health and you're stirred. Says, "Right, I need to get a book on nutrition." Get the book before the idea passes and before the emotion gets cold. Go for the book. Start the library. Start the process. Fall on the floor. Do some push-ups. Action. Got to take action.
Action. You got to act on this information.
Otherwise, the wisdom is wasted. Otherwise, the emotion soon passes. Unless you put it into a disciplined activity. Capture it. Disciplines is called how to capture the emotion and how to capture the wisdom and translate it into equity.
Yes.
Disciplines. Now, here's what's important about disciplines. All disciplines affect each other.
Yes. They overlap.
In fact, here's a good philosophical phrase. Everything affects everything else.
It's all related. It's not separate. Part of the philosophy or the law I was telling you, you are everywhere you go. You can't get away from you. Most of the time, I would say almost every time. Most of the time, every time, it's you. You be the one in your own way. You think something's in your way. Yeah, something's in your way. You in your way. You need to work on you.
Nothing stands alone.
You a bad communicator at work, you a bad communicator at home. You don't get better at communicating in one area. You get better at communicating everywhere if you're really working on it. You don't work out, get in shape, and you only in shape at the gym. When you leave the gym, you still in shape.
Don't be naive in saying, well, this doesn't matter. I'm telling you, everything matters. There are some things that matter more than others, but there isn't anything that doesn't matter.
Oh, man. All right, that's a good place to leave off at. because we can keep going. We're not going to, let me line myself up. Let's get centered real quick. We at 12:06. I believe we got a good hour in tonight, like we normally do. Last time we had went to like an hour and 20 minutes because we were going over the notes. And we ran over a little late. I don't want to do that tonight. So let me find what we're looking for. I want to get this off the screen. Go ahead and hit this real quick. And let's pull these notes down. Let's get these notes going. It's time to do our review. Look like we're not going to be able to. I'm messing up. It's doing something. Undo ain't even taking this off. What is this? It's just making a whole bunch of lines. Let's see if I can delete this. Well, tonight has been some technical difficulty stuff tonight, hasn't it? Oh my goodness. I don't know what this mouse doing. I'm about to delete all the notes if I'm not careful. Put it on that. There we go. Okay. Figured that out, but I got to get this. We're going to have to read through the chicken scratch. We'll be all night. I had a long day. I got to get some more practice in with this stuff. Let's go ahead and get our notes. So number 1, study the law. Know what to sign. That was the beginning when he was talking about how he did the co-signing for the company and he messed around and did a continuing guarantee. So every time they needed to borrow money, he had already signed it that one time and he was on the hook for taking care of their financial responsibility. So we need to make sure that we are studying at least a basic sense of law to know that when we conducting business and handling our finances, that we don't put ourselves in a situation where we're liable for something that we don't want to be liable for or responsible for. So we need to study a little law. And then economics. With economics, we need to understand how money works. Everybody wants money, but not everybody wants to invest the time in themselves to understand how money works, which is something I'm going to help you go over on this channel very soon. Culture. Culture is something we went over where we were talking about how you need to conduct yourself a certain way in certain environments. Things operate differently in one place than in the other. So making sure you understand culture will help you navigate in those situations. Spirituality. If you believe in something, religious-wise, you need to study it, you need to practice it. That's something that he went over. Number 5, have a journal. There are going to be experiences that you have throughout your day that will help you grow, that aren't going to be found in a book, something personal to you, like a testimony. Like, for instance, my wife had a situation where she needed to escalate an issue she was having to management in a company. She went as far as to find the CEO and chief financial officer. Like, that would be something that I would definitely put in my journal because it was experience and an opportunity of growth of how to get things done. It wasn't about complaining. It was about resolving a situation in a professional way. So you want to keep a journal. Also, take pictures. A picture is worth 1,000 words. You want to leave your memories behind for your lineage, for your great-grandchildren, your grandchildren, to build on the things you've experienced so they're not just starting off from ground zero. Then he talked about the books and the libraries. He talked about the journals. take notes. Taking notes is an extension of journals. Like journals is going to be like a personal experience that you had went through. Notes is like what we're doing now from the seminar. Man, my notes look horrible because I done scribbled all over them. I just didn't look at the screen because I've been trying to read through them. Man, I don't know how to use this pen. This looks sloppy. And then see that weird, like I'm moving it around, but that's staying in place. I don't know what is going on with this thing. I got to figure it out. Take notes. Okay, and then he talked about the 5 abilities. We stopped at 4 because he was long-winded. I made mistakes and wrote down extra stuff because I was afraid he wasn't keeping count, but he was. So the first one was absorb. Pay attention. He brought up the story of the guy. He said he does such a great job of absorbing experiences. You could send him on a trip and him explaining it to you is almost better than you taking a trip yourself. So you want to make sure you get the most out of every experience. When you're there, be there. Don't, like, you ever seen some people go on vacation and they take their work with them? No, if you're going to go somewhere, embrace it. Engage in that experience. Deep dive into it. Submerge yourself in that experience. 2, learn to respond. Learn how to feel what's going on around you. Engage with your emotions. And then I mentioned the book. There you go. I scribbled on it again. Emotional Intelligence. Excuse me. Emotional Intelligence by Daniel. I don't have it pulled up anymore. That's the guy's first name. And 3, reflect. Reflect was the thing that he talked about that blew my mind, which was making sure that at the end of the day, you review how that day went, the good, the bad, the ugly. How can you learn and take that experience of that day to improve in the next one? And then reflecting at the end of the week. And then taking what you learned from that week and take that to a month, and then take a whole week off at the end of the year, like maybe during the Christmas break like we got coming up, and review what did you accomplish this year? What lessons did you learn from 2024 that will propel you, take you further in 2025? What mistakes did you make that you don't want to make in 2025? What setbacks did you have? I can't wait to do that. And then he was saying that this is something you need to do alone. Sometimes it's cool to reflect with other people. And that probably would be like if you're reflecting on something that involves that person. Like if I wanted to reflect on my marriage, I would do that with my wife. But as an individual, for my goals, financially and personally, those are things where I would want to be alone and reflect alone, so I can review and collect my thoughts to become a better version of myself. But we all can take a lesson from that. And we stopped. I did it again. We stopped on number 4, which is develop the ability to act. And this is taking action. And he basically was saying, when you get great ideas, act on them. Don't procrastinate. Don't put it off. Well, I'll do it tomorrow, or I'll do it next week, or I'll do it a couple of weeks from now. That motivation, that excitement, that energy you have when you first get excited about doing something, that's the best time for you to do it. If the situation allows it, it's the best time to do it because you're more likely going to follow through. And here's a personal testimony of mine that might help you. What helped me with my YouTube experience and channel was to stop talking about what I was going to do. I'm blessed enough and grateful enough to have people in my life where I can pick up the phone, I can talk to them, I can share ideas, I can talk about things that I want to do or that I'm going to do. But what I noticed was happening is that they would encourage me and believe me just off of what I was saying. And I didn't realize psychologically that was enough for me to be satisfied in a way where I lost the motivation in reality to actually follow through with what I said. Some people say things and it makes them accountable because they said it. But I realize personally, I don't work that way. If I say I'm going to do something and you kind of like reward me with not encouragement, but like, oh yeah, that's going to be great, as if it actually took place, I lose motivation. So what I learned to do is stop talking. Stop talking about what you're going to do and do it. And when you're doing it, there's no reason for you to have to talk about it anyway, because people can see that it's getting done. Like tonight, for instance. Tonight was probably one of the most difficult nights I've ever had doing a YouTube live. Why? Because I've had mistakes in real time that I can't take back. Look at my screen, for God's sake. Like it's scribbled. I just scribbled all over it. I'm telling you, I don't know how to fix this. But I showed up. I got a cough. I'm taking Mucinex. I don't feel good. I'm hungry. I had a long day. I'm tired. But I spent years working for somebody else, showing up when I ain't feel like it because I was scared they was going to fire me, or I was going to lose my job, or I wasn't going to be able to pay my bills. And we have to learn how to acknowledge whatever's going on and still show up. At the beginning of this live stream, for instance, the sound was screwed up. The sound was messed up in the video. I almost said we're going to stop the live stream and then restart it because the sound was messed up. I'm living proof. I'm showing you in real time that stuff is going to come up. We don't have control over everything. But we have to find a way to embrace mistakes and keep going. We have to be our biggest, I want to say cheerleader, but it sounds like it's a woman. But we have to be our biggest inspiration. We have to be that voice of reason. Yeah, I don't feel like it. But you know what? You got to do it. I made a commitment. I'm going to be here every Wednesday at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we're going to do these lives. And I didn't realize that it was going to take us as many videos to get through this Jim Rohn. We probably got like 3 or 4 more lives to do to get through this video. But this man's information is so powerful, and I know that this stuff's worked. I know that this stuff works because I've used it. It changed my life. And I want to share this information with other people. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in tonight. And I want you to remember that the school system does not have a monopoly on education. And being educated and informed is your own responsibility. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Make sure you share, you like, you subscribe, comment. I would love to hear from you. And I want you guys to have an awesome week. I'm looking forward to getting some more things taken care of. And I hope to see you again next Wednesday. So take care and God bless.